You're listening to Late Night Radio on the SHR Media Network. Caution, there will be mature themes explored and potentially adult language used. If conservatarian words, phrases, certain concepts, or rhetoric offends you, tune out now.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
I have come here to chew bubble gum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubble.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here on the SHR Media Network, where I am broadcasting in an actual free state. And I spoke to my guest earlier tonight, Jeff Dunetz. Jeff Dunetz will be here, and Jersey Joe will be here, one each for both of them. And I said Jeff because that's his name. Jeff, is it too early to be wearing the Santa hat in the saloon? Jeff said no, and I'm wearing the Santa hat. So this until the rest of Christmas, I will be in the Santa hat. What also am I? Well, I am your conservative Sherpa. I'm guiding you through the maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Also, please note, muy importante, what you're about to see and hear for the next hour, 2 hours, however long this goes, consists of my opinion and my opinion only, and those opinions of my guests. Your mileage may vary. So I am doing the job the American media maggots won't. I am fundamentally changing America, one leftist diaper at a time. And I also want to tell you that we don't water our drinks just like we don't water our conversations. We are still serving stiff drinks here in the saloon, along with, facts, history, logic, rationality, proportion, context, tradition, and common sense for normal people. You know, like you and me. Politics, religion, crime, economics, race, sex, science. We talk about it all right here in the saloon, where the speech is, in fact, free. But the booze is not. We are streaming live on Rumble right now. We are streaming live on X. We are streaming live on Twitch. We are streaming live at shrmedia.com. We are streaming live on the SHR Media YouTube channel. 3 places, I believe, on X. And I want to let everybody know that it is, oh my God, it's December the 5th, the year of our Lord 2024. It's Thursday. And again, as per normal, there is so much stuff to talk about. And I'm looking at all my tabs up here. Some of the stuff has come to light today, as a matter of fact. But let's introduce the acts you've known for all these years. Here is Jeff Dunetz, one each from lidblog.com. Go to his site, lidblog.com. And also, there is Joe of Jersey. He is the host, the Reaver of Common Sense, who apparently has an earwig in his ear, which is so sad. Very sad. I thought New Jersey. Oh, no, you're not in New Jersey. You're in Florida.
I escaped from New Jersey.
Yeah, I thought, Florida does, in fact, have a host of earwigs. How sad is that? Very sad.
You see, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You asked me about wearing the hat.
Yes.
Why are you taking Christmas advice from a Jew?
Because I like you. You're a grand friend.
What do I know about Christmas?
Hey, listen, I know you read well, you know whatever you wish to know because you have read in the past, and actually you're black right now. And by the way, I should tell you, that's a really nice saloon in the background.
Thank you.
Black shirt. You know what I meant.
I was about to say, I don't think he's black.
Yeah. Speaking of which, folks, you may or may not have been aware that a very good friend of SHR's, who has been on this show quite a number of times, Lonnie Poindexter, went in for surgery yesterday, very early in the morning, about 5 or 7 a.m., something like that. He was being operated on yesterday for about 5-6 hours. He had a triple bypass and I believe a stent, if I'm not mistaken. And then they had to take him back into the operating room because there was some kind of an issue with his heart. There was some kind of a bleed going. And they found the bleed. They found the source. And the doctor was able to take care of that. And so if you would, if you are of the bent who hits their knees at the end of the day and or you pray, can you send some prayers, please, to Lonnie Poindexter? He's in Sacramento. He went to what basically is one of the best cardiac units in the area. So he had some great doctors, some great consultants. He was on a breathing machine, of course. He is off the breathing machine now. He is awake. I believe he was sleeping for a while. So please, if you would, he's going to be in ICU for, I think, another day. And he's going to be in the hospital, I believe, there for at least a week. So,
if I might for a second,
certainly, sir.
he's a freaking show off. Okay. I had a double bypass 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and he had to have a triple one to show me off. Okay.
So who's considering numbers? I don't think numbers are really that important in that. I could be wrong. I could be horribly and terribly wrong. In any event, if you would send some prayers tonight, tomorrow, whenever you have a spare few minutes, to Lonnie Poindexter, and let's get him back in the saddle again. And while we're doing that, I should point out that this gentleman right here had some major surgeries, as you heard, cardiac surgery about 3 weeks ago. Okay. Jersey Joe did a show with myself and Sean Lewis on November 5th. And on November 5th, Jeff Dunetz, how many days had you been out of surgery? Do you recall?
I don't remember, but I insisted on getting out.
My belief, and Joe, you correct me if I'm wrong, is you hadn't been out of surgery more than about a week or so. And Jeff wanted to come on the show and help us do the election show on November 5th. And I think that speaks volumes to the kind of intrepid traveler that Jeff Dunetz is. So tonight,
Well, BC, we did the election show how many times since 2016?
Shoot, we did the 2020 election show. The big presidential election. We did 2020, we did 2016, and I think we may have done a primary in there or two in between. So we had 3 majors and maybe 2 minors, some primaries and whatnot.
No, I don't do minors. You might.
Excellent. Excellent.
I make sure they're over 16.
Okay, let's move on from that topic because that's a little fucking creepy for me. So thanks to everybody who's watching here tonight. Thanks to everyone.
Did you see Iran? I think it's Iran or Iraq that lowered the age of consent down to 9.
What?
For marriage, the age of consent is like 9 years old now. I think it's Iran did it.
It probably both. I mean, traditional Muslim, not not the modern Muslims, but traditional crazy Muslim people. It is that young.
It's disgusting.
It's really strange. Anyway,
Did you see the cartels are sending kids alone over the river and through the woods?
Yes. There were some people that were, I remember that story about at least a week ago. And there are, if I'm not mistaken, roughly 300,000 children that our government has lost over the past year or so, which in my estimation makes the United States of America the largest organized human trafficking program on the entire planet. But that's not why we're here tonight. We're here tonight to see if I don't know if you guys heard any of this. I want to go with the first story. I have some important stories to go to up front. We'll be getting to the Chicago death toll. We will be getting to happy stories. And if I have time, I mean, leftists are crazy, and the racist, sexist industrial complex, we may or may not have time for that. I'm not sure. This just came out. This was sent to me by my cybersecurity expert, Mike Fitzpatrick. And this is the FBI warning that the iPhone and Android users, you might want to consider not texting. So they indicate timing is everything, as Apple's adoption of RCS had seemed to signal a return to text messaging via the unstoppable growth of WhatsApp. There was a surprising new hurdle to stop that. While messaging Android to Android or iPhone to iPhone is secure, messaging from one to the other is not so much.
Wow.
It's China having to do with that. Now, what that story unfortunately buried, there are two revelations. One should be a fairly startling revelation to you. The other one may or may not be so much. This is a story covered by lots of places, AP in this event. White House says at least 8 U.S. telecom firms and dozens of nations were impacted by the China hacking program from Beijing. At least 8 U.S. telecom firms and dozens of nations were impacted by Chinese hacking. The Biden administration Deputy National Security Advisor Ann Neuberger offered new details about the breadth and depth of this China hack that has occurred.
Do they bring your telephone in one of those little white boxes with the metal handles?
You mean similar to a Faraday box or a Faraday cage?
No, I'm talking about, similar to dumplings.
Oh, no. I keep my credit card and my phone when I'm not on it in a little pouch, not terribly dissimilar from a Faraday cage.
If they want to hack my phone, go ahead. I mean, most they're going to get is me and my wife talking about aches and pains.
And or anything that you keep in your phone in terms of sites you visited, usernames and passwords. If you use your phone,
WhatsApp to WhatsApp.
Yeah, that was one way that they got in. So anyway, if you're communicating or attempting to communicate something even remotely secure from Android to Apple or vice versa, you might want to rethink that. Just saying in that event.
If they want to hack me and steal my identity, maybe they'll throw pity on me and actually raise my credit standing up a little bit. It's so in the toilet.
What a wonderful thing that would be, would it not?
Yeah, I understand what the articles talk about, what you're talking about, but it's like you want to go ahead. My credit's shot, I'm shot, and I don't talk about national security.
Well, then in that fact, you have nothing to worry about. Now, do I send texts mostly to people on Apple? No, I'm not a huge Apple fan, but I do know a couple of people who are primarily on Apple. Okay, now this is another really bizarre case, and it gets even more bizarre after this. So there was yesterday, there was the individual who ambushed the CEO from United Healthcare.
Right.
And if you guys remember, because my cybersecurity expert, Mike Fitzpatrick, weighed in on this, and I believe the United Healthcare hack occurred much earlier this year, like January, February, somewhere around there. And it was a huge hack. In fact, it was one of the largest hacks that he acknowledged in quite some time. Then yesterday, some individual comes out of nowhere in New York City and ambushes the CEO. Let me see if I can play this video, whether it will play or not. And he comes up. Let me stop this. This is interesting insofar as this guy appears to have a suppressor. And then he also clears the pistol with the suppressor. Let's continue.
Now, a lot of people are saying they think it's a 22. I'm betting it's a 25. 25 are notorious for not cycling properly.
And 22s are also historically used by people in assassinations.
But 25 is almost the same as the 22, not as loud. And with a suppressor, it's going to be real silent. But that guy doesn't seem like he gives a shit about who sees or saw what. He's on camera. There's people standing right there, and he just walks on by them.
Actually, today they're talking about that he was just like pissed off about something about his service.
Nah, man.
Well, it just gets more bizarre because, as this article indicates, that CEO by the name of Brian Thompson, the words deny, depose, and defend were etched in some fashion onto the casings that were left behind at the scene. That in itself is a very, very bizarre thing. And this occurred in daylight. And what they just discovered, however, is that in terms of, because in New York, as Jeff Dunetz well knows, there are cameras everywhere in New York. And this guy's face was, let me see if I have a photograph of his face.
Yes, now they discovered his face.
I don't know if that picture is the one, because they're showing one of the pictures I seen the backpack that he has on. It's in a totally different colored backpack than what he had.
Well, the face is here in this. Let's listen to this.
And thank you for joining us as the search intensifies for the gunman who shot and killed United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in the heart of New York City. Today, police released those new photos showing
that's fairly clear.
Face of the man wanted for questioning in Wednesday's killing. Investigators are now also confirming that bullet casings found at the scene had words.
What's that?
Stop right there.
Sure.
Look at that strap.
Right. Thick and black.
Yep. And when you see the other pictures of the shooter, it's a light gray,
including
strap.
By the way, the first person talking, Nora O'Donnell, it wasn't her.
Thank goodness. She was otherwise busy.
Deny
at the
and
time.
delay written on them. Police are searching for the back.
And you're right. There's the backpack in that photograph, Jersey Joe, and the dark strap in the other one. But apparently they backtracked all sorts of videos and discovered that there are numerous questions about this. The guy apparently left his DNA on a cup. Then also they discovered that he had dropped his wallet in an alleyway somewhere in an attempt to backtrack all of these things.
In this photo, it's distinctive. They believe it was discarded in Central Park, possibly with the murder weapon still inside. That murder weapon, investigators say, is a B&T Station 6. That's a modern replica of a pistol used by spies during World War II.
Okay, and I can tell you quite frankly, after having been a range master, those are notoriously bad. Very bad. So that you would have some kind of a jam requiring a clearing procedure for that doesn't shock me at all.
Jam or clearing it. He was very smooth with his actions clearing it.
Is that a 22 or a 25?
Those, now that's a good question. I'd have to go back a little further and look. So as we're talking, Jersey Joe, apparently you're going to go back and look, and that'd be excellent. We're going to continue.
With a silencer that makes it fire quietly. It was possibly purchased in Connecticut. CBS's Meg Oliver.
Now, if that's not irony of ironies, that a firearm used to shoot and kill a CEO was purchased in Connecticut, one of the most stringent of states when it comes to firearms in terms of, well, the entire Colt Industries left Connecticut and left it behind. And I think Smith & Wesson also abandoned Connecticut as well. Joe, did you find anything?
From what I'm seeing, for a quick search, not in depth, 9mm or 45.
Really?
I understand that where he got the gun was from Blumenthal, the senator, and it was left over from his trip to Vietnam when he was in combat.
$2,000 gun too.
I'm shocked. Number one, that you could find something like that. Number two, that they still manufacture it, and especially in Connecticut, that you could somehow lawfully, which I don't think you can, acquire that handgun. Now, this is most passing strange. This is bizarre. And before we go to the article, let me get the article out of there, as a matter of fact, in order to focus on this. This is Taylor Lorenz. She left Twitter and went to Blue Sky Social, which is where all the leftists went, as a matter of fact. She was a former WAPO, Washington Post author. She's a massive leftist, and nuts. And this is all linked up in such a bizarre little fashion. She wrote on Blue Sky, and people wonder why we want these executives dead. Not why some people want executives dead, but why we want. Now she's on Blue Sky, consisting of leftists, meaning that as far as she is concerned, leftists want executives dead. More perfect union. Blue Cross Blue Shield in Connecticut, New York, and Missouri has declared it will no longer pay for anesthesia for the full length of some surgeries. If the procedure goes over a certain time, anesthesia will not be covered for the duration. Now, was this necessarily the motivation for that guy? I don't know, but I find it very amusing. Then let's go back to this. She doubled down on that. It's natural to wish that. She defended herself while she was writing on Substack, saying that thousands of Americans want insurance executives dead. Not really a good look. But wait, do we have some efficacy involved here? Let's go to this, which I found. This is from Fox Business. Let me see if I can stop this, because I'm not going to play the video.
Well,
Health insurer reverses course on anesthesia policy after receiving a backlash. So the policy change drew criticism from the American Society of Anesthesiologists. So this was released on December 5th, today, the same day that what's-her-name, Taylor Lorenz, released this about wishing executives dead. So now Anthem Blue Cross, this originally, the CEO was United Healthcare. They were hacked. He was in New York City. Someone knew his schedule and his timing and when he would arrive, when he would leave, unless they were simply staked out and waiting with a firearm in a backpack or wherever they happened to be concealing it. But that was United Healthcare. Now, what's the time frame? And I can't quite exactly figure it out between the time that the CEO was shot of United Healthcare and this guy, or I should say, between the decision from Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield backtracking on imposing a policy change that would have revised its billing standards for anesthesia treatment and not pay for those services after a set time limit for a given operation. Well, wait, BZ, that's what she was referring to right here. So we have inscriptions engraved on casings. We have an individual who knew, apparently, where this guy was going to be. Now, not much of this, I have to admit, makes a whole lot of sense, particularly when you're considering that cameras are everywhere in New York City. You have a photograph that I'm sure has been placed and shot everywhere in New York City. He went to Central Park. They're backtracking where he goes. So Jeff and or Jersey Joe What's the motivation? To me, it seems extremely personal. So this guy perceives that somehow he got screwed over by United Healthcare. So with that in mind,
I agree.
what's
I don't know if that
the
was the
linkage?
reason.
Is this personal for this guy?
Yeah, but I don't know if that's the reason. But yes, absolutely. And you know what? If they did that, I got to tell you something. If I woke up in the middle of my heart operation, whoa, I don't know if I wouldn't want to shoot somebody.
My brother did.
Right?
During an operation?
I had my brother in the middle of open heart surgery. He and not because of anything anybody did wrong, just psychologically he fought off the anesthesia and stood up on the table, scared the shit out of everybody in the operating room.
Holy.
Chest wide open on the side. They were fixing his aorta artery. Yeah, he woke up and stood up. Doctor said he never saw that before. So,
Well,
it is a side note on that. I just,
but the thing is that that's what I said before. The beginning, they suspect that it was some sort of anger about some sort of treatment.
So the thing that I have to ask is it working? I mean, is this what we're coming to when people are advocating essentially the assassination of, well, a president on June of this year who barely escaped, and then a second assassination attempt, and now we've not seen just an assassination attempt, but an outright assassination on the streets in public in New York City by an individual initially with a mask and a hoodie and backpack, apparently 2 backpacks, by a bizarre gun with a suppressor with engraved casings. This crap is right out of some kind of a very bizarre spy novel.
I think this whole, it's about the anesthesia is a distraction.
See,
I think this has to do with some people buying stocks and now going to be investigated through the hacks and all that, and them covering up. And that gun, and I mean, when I looked up, it's a $2,000 gun. You don't emotionally go out and just buy an expensive gun to go out to do that. You're going to buy a low-end gun, a low-cost gun. You're not going to spend high money on a gun.
The whole thing, like so many incidents that have occurred prior, the whole thing stinks.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
it absolutely reeks.
But it's not just that. You just look at the way that people talk about everything, about politicians, and how people are shooting politicians. You look at Trump, but you look at other ones, how they kept saying that Trump was Hitler.
The left has justified violence.
Right.
And you know what? They talk about the right being fascism. That's one of the degrees of fascism, is using violence to get your way. They've okayed it. They've made it mainstream for it to happen on their side, and they will justify, the media will justify, the politicians will justify, and make it okay.
It's a series of events that as I've said, since 2016, since 2020, especially since 2020 and 2021, now 2024, we have been all dragged kicking and screaming into being some of the finest conspiracy theorists, which is how we were labeled since 2016. And now it turns out more and more, we're not the ones that are nuts. We are not the conspiracy theorists. And everything just seems to get more bizarre and crazy.
And we answer them. I mean, we get sarcastic and answer them and make them crazy. I mean, Chris Cuomo said that the Biden pardon gave Trump a baseball bat to beat Dems to death. And I wrote him back and said, that's why we call you Frito. But I'm not the only one that gets sarcastic with people.
Oh, God, no.
Never.
No. Well, it's the bottom of the hour. I'm going to take a break. And when I come back, I should tell everyone that we have Jeff Dunetz right there. Let's see. There we go. I'm actually pointing in the correct direction. Jeff Dunetz there. And we have Jersey Joe right there. And IMBZ, one each. And we'll be right back after this. Now, when I come back, when I return, if you want to see some spectacular fireworks, you're going to see some fireworks that occurred today. Oh, gosh.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Come listen to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. Live on select and exclusive Tuesday and Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Rumble channel, SHR Media YouTube channel, X, Twitch, Spreaker, and wherever great conservative podcasts are found. BZ, your conservative Sherpa, guides you through the maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Raised as a free-range child with dirt, stains, mud, and freedom, BZ broadcasts from North Idaho, comfortably surrounded by actual normal people. Jump into our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room on rumble.com. Click on live chat to join. Now, with 37% more umbrage and 19% more bulbosity than previous shows, featuring delicious Liberty additives for the best in late-night Conservatarian talk radio. BZ reminds you that with great beard comes great responsibility. No chinchillas were harmed, embarrassed, fat-shamed, or the focus of any sarcasm whatsoever in the making of this ad.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here's Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Hey fellas, are you mission ready? Coming in November to SHR Media. By way of Big E Jackson, you need to check out Mission Ready Men. It's a show that equips you to navigate our society's challenges from a biblical perspective with courage and conviction. Tune into Mission Ready Men as we examine our culture through the prism of biblical truths, teachings, and how to apply them in our daily lives. Prepare to step up, stand out, and step into your role as a man, as ordained by God. That's Mission Ready Men, hosted by Earl Jackson, coming this November on the SHR Media Network. And get mission ready.
Want to make an immediate difference in the life of a critically ill child? You have the ability to do that right now. Make a donation to Dream Makers for Life, the organization that restores dreams to seriously ill children and their families. You can sponsor a dream pack for a child, which contains a clear PVC backpack, a dry erase board adventure coloring book, a journal, and dry erase markers to inspire a critically ill child to envision a future adventure and hope. Want to become a dream maker for life yourself? Go to dreamforlife.org. That's dreamforlife.org. Help a child. Help a family. There is always hope.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. The first segment is gone. The first half hour is gone. It is December the 5th, Thursday, December the 5th, the year of our Lord 2024 already. So welcome back into the saloon. I have some great guests tonight. I have Jeff Dunetz. I have Jersey Joe. If you would remember that our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room awaits you. Yes, you. In the SHR Media YouTube channel and also in the SHR Media Rumble page. This is Jeff Dunetz. This is Jersey Joe. Welcome back, gentlemen.
Did you say today was December 5th?
Yes, it is December the 5th already.
Only 11 more shopping days.
Oh my God. Well, let me ask you. Was anybody here silly, stupid, or fattening enough to go out and shop on Black Friday?
No.
Hands?
Nope.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but it's only 11 days. 11 days. Count them up.
There's hope for us yet. All of us. Me, you, everyone.
Well,
I told everybody.
6 days from now is a big anniversary.
Of?
It's the anniversary when Al Sharpton had people blow up Freddie's Fashion Mart.
Oh, wonderful. That's something we should aspire to. That sounds like a story.
Well, it's his second pogrom in New York. Yes, it is a story. I write it. I'll write it.
And tell us about it.
Actually, in the Beacon today, he's in trouble now because apparently he got bribed to do a endorsement this presidential race.
Kamala Harris.
Yes.
He took money before to his one of his charities before he did the interview with her on MSNBC, and now even MSNBC's pissed about it because he never let anybody know that there was money changing hands.
Yes.
And isn't it odd that all of these things seem to be falling apart when Donald John Trump, OMB, Orange Man Bad, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head, somehow gets closer and closer to power, having won not just the Electoral College, but having won the popular vote by, I believe, at least 5 million votes. And we're discovering day by damn day that these people, Democrats and leftists, really are as craven and cowardly and corrupt as we naturally had envisioned.
And then there's rumors floating around that Kamala Harris and her husband are separating.
I had heard about that as well.
That's the rumor mill churning. I don't know if it's 100% true or not.
Well, they have all the churches in America are really pissed off at Al Sharpton, all the black churches. But it has nothing to do with Trump. It's because you've started to wear the Santa hat.
Well, okay. I did consult an expert before I decided to don it today. So there's that. So let's go to what I consider to be round 1, 2, and 3 of another thing that occurred today. And let's listen because this is rather. Oh, you know where I'm going with this, Joe.
This was a fun fight.
Oh, this was grand. I know. Let's watch.
Do you recognize this photo?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. Was that the remembrance of September 11th?
It was.
Was it in New York?
It was at Ground Zero.
Who is usually at an event like this closest to the President of the United States, security-wise?
The SAC of the detail.
Special agent in charge of the detail. Were you the special agent in charge of the detail that day?
Actually, let me address this. Could you please, staff, leave that? Oh, no, leave that one up with the circle around me. Thank you. So actually, Congressman, what you're not seeing is the SAC of the detail out of the picture's view. And that is the day where we remember the more than 3,000 people that have died on 9/11.
What the hell does that have to do with him not doing his job?
Well, let's stop and comment just for a moment.
Sorry, BZ. That just annoyed the piss out of me.
That's okay. He thought he knew where this was going and decided early that he was going to take umbrage. That's not his job. B, his job is to answer what these people ask. C, he is acting director and he's angling D for permanent director. Folks, is this a great look?
I was there going through the ashes of the World Trade Center. I was there at Fresh Kills.
I'm not asking you that.
I was
I'm asking
there,
you if you were
Congressman.
were you the special agent in charge?
To show respect
You were not.
for a Secret
That's
Service
a bunch of
member.
horse
So stop. If this is what a bureaucrat in charge temporarily of the United States Secret Service does when asked a question, the remaining question is, what other things have you done? And what other decisions will you disagree with? And how will you react?
I want that clip of Donald Trump screaming fired.
Do you remember
This idiot.
the Mike Tyson fight a couple of weeks ago?
Oh, sure.
This guy got his ass handed to him like Mike My mouth doesn't work like Mike Tyson did.
Yes. Oh, but wait, folks. Don't go away. It gets better.
That died on 9/11.
Oh, that you're trying to be.
Do not invoke 9/11 for political purposes.
Oh, that not.
The only one invoking is him.
You don't even know his question yet, comma. Do you, comma, asshole?
Gentlemen,
And you are out of line.
I said,
Committee will come to order. I'm asking you serious questions for the American people, and they're very simple. They're not trick questions. Were you the special agent in charge that
No, I
day?
wasn't. I was there
Oh, no,
representing
Mr.
the
Chairman,
United
I'm
States
just
Secret
asking you yes or
Service,
no.
sir.
Mr. Fallon,
You
your
know,
time's
and did not
expired.
affect protective
You know
operations.
why you were
time's
there?
expired.
Because you wanted to be visible, because you were auditioning for this
I was
job.
there to
that
pay
you're not gonna
respect for a
get
fallen
till
member of
January
this
20th.
agency.
You endangered
You are
President
out of
Biden's
line,
life,
Congressman.
Vice President
You are out of
Harris's
line.
life, because you put those agents out of position.
Mr.
Did you have a
Chairman.
radio with
Mr.
you?
Fallon,
Did
your
you wear
time
a
has
vest? Did you have a
expired.
weapon?
Okay. Listen, I grok his point, and this guy knew exactly, this acting director knew exactly where he was going, and it's true. Let's go back to see if we can look at that photo. There he is, right there. So why do you have someone so close there who is not an agent, who is not in protective mode or status, but who is there to get his big fat gesicht in the photo for political cred? There's only one reason for that at all, period. Let's continue to the end.
Agency.
You endangered
You are
President
out of line,
Biden's life,
Congressman.
Vice President
You are out of
Harris's
line.
life, because you put those agents out of position.
Mr.
Did you have a
Chairman.
radio with
Mr.
you?
Fallon,
Did you
your
wear a
time
vest?
has
Did you have a
expired.
weapon?
Mr.
No.
Chairman.
And that's wonderful, but that's the truth. That's how craven bureaucracy has become. Now I listened to the Dan Bongino show. That should come as no surprise. And many, many people have suggested, because first he worked for the NYPD, then he worked for the U.S. Secret Service. Then after he left the Secret Service, I think he tried out for
The Knicks.
a congressional district somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where that was. Tried to get into politics. That didn't work. And then he has his own radio show, et cetera. And he has said numerous times, I have not contacted Trump. I have not said or attempted to communicate with him. But a lot of people have said, Dan Bongino, we would like to see him for the Secret Service. Now, I'm going somewhere with this, folks.
But hang on. Yeah, he hasn't contacted him, but Trump's been in contact with him because just a couple weeks ago at UFC pay-per-view, Dan Bongino was with Trump at the pay-per-view. Amongst with there was others there, but Dan Bongino was there with him.
That's exactly correct. So let me ask you then, Jeff and Jersey Joe. And I'm going to make a comparison for you because we're going to be talking about this as well. Hegseth, as regards to DOD, is not unlike Bongino as regards to the U.S. Secret Service. Gentlemen, weigh in, please.
I think that Hegseth, to to relieve Trump of the problem, should pull himself out. The problem is that the poor guy probably lost his job at Fox also. But I think he should pull himself out.
And Jersey Joe.
Now keep fighting. They're doing a psych ops on him. More people have put their name out in public countering these accusations. And if we pull him, then they're going to go after RFK. They're going to go after Tulsi Gabbard. And they're just going to keep going because we're giving them power. Now I said it before. Matt Gaetz, I am not a fan of his. Him backing out gave him power. Now they're going after this guy, and they'll just keep on going down the road.
Every president loses someone, and actually,
but it's giving him power. And this guy has
Pam Bondi is much better.
No, I agree. Pam Bondi is way better. I will agree 100%. I think that actually Matt Gaetz was more of a test to see where the senators were and who was going to stand up and fight with Trump and who was going to fight against him. Hegseth, more people have come out for him saying that these accusations are outright lies. And I'm getting tired of these newspapers writing an anonymous source anymore. When I see anonymous source and Trump, it's made up.
Yeah.
I'm hearing about senators, and he only needs 6 to say no.
And today it came out that there's only one major one against him. The rest have gotten in line.
Let me throw this up here just to confuse even more. This is from Ronnie Jackson. I think he was the presidential surgeon, I believe, earlier with
both Trump, Biden, Obama, Trump, and Trump. Yeah.
Correct. And now he's in politics in Texas.
Right. He's a congressman.
And he said, beware of all the leaked rumors of others replacing Pete Hegseth. Pete is and will be President Trump's nominee and future SecDef. If you hear differently, you should question the source. A lot of people taking advantage of a high-profile nomination fight to promote themselves. Shameful. I can't disagree with this. And I disagree with Jeff, but I will specifically delineate why in just a bit. Before we get there,
you got to understand one other thing.
What's that, sir?
First of all, I agree. Every story, I agree with Ronnie. You never believe what you hear. But maybe because I thought that Hegseth was a bad choice from the beginning.
Who is there anybody that you were thinking of waiting in the wings that would have been by name a better selection?
Yeah, I think you should have gone with the governor of Florida then.
Nah.
Jersey Joe, weigh in. You live in Florida.
I like him as a governor, but he's also not so red, white, and blue as everybody thinks. He has done a lot of things against the Constitution. I don't agree with everything he's done.
But what he is that he's a good manager, and that's what I'm thinking. I have to tell you something about Hegseth. That's great. I once had a client, well, actually, someone I was writing about, who had a problem with his medical stuff in the as a veteran, and I wrote Hegseth. And in 24 hours, he fixed it. And I really respected him for that.
Now, are you talking about Hegseth or are you talking about DeSantis?
No, I'm talking about Hegseth. He was, he was a big shot with the veterans group.
Okay.
And like I said, the guy, actually, they wanted him to take an operation not from where he lived, but all the way across the country where his family couldn't be there. And I wrote Hegseth, and within 24 hours, he fixed it.
Well, that's excellent. What kind of wonderful pull is that?
Well, no, I think he was a real mensch when it came to that.
Sure. And those are some of the issues I believe that he fervently believes in is the VA. I spoke to, for example, Monday night with Jersey Joe. And Jersey Joe and I spoke to a gentleman by the name, a veteran named Joe Sowell, who went to.
I kept doing.
Okay, all right, guilty, right here.
No, it makes me feel better that I'm not.
Okay. And I reviewed. Yes, I do have his book right here, and this is the book that we were talking about, Joseph Sowell, right here. And we talked about, and he spoke about his book, The Broken Mirror of Memory, Iraq and Other Tales. He was a veteran, went to Iraq, to Operation Iraqi Freedom. He was there from 2008 to 2009. Came back kind of a broken guy. But then he had some really serious tales to tell about the VA and how the VA at the time essentially was under-equipped and underfunded to be able to handle the huge rush of veterans that came in and required healing and helping. And all they could do is throw pills at people. Well, the VA needs fixing. The DOD needs fixing. The intelligence agencies, all 17 of them, need fixing. Every alphabet agency needs fixing. That's a time for this now. By the way, I know that Jeff Dunetz works closely with the people at Hot Air, especially Ed Morrissey. This is from a gentleman at Hot Air called David Strom, who wrote, 2 intelligence failures in a week? As far as I can tell, both events were a complete surprise to the United States of America. Number one, why didn't the intelligence community have any kind of an idea that the Syrian government might soon be overwhelmed by ISIS and Al-Qaeda, or that South Korea was on the brink of a constitutional crisis? Completely went by.
Well, I think the Syria thing was, I think Biden, they probably told Biden, and Biden did, he's really lousy about the Middle East. But the Korean thing, I think that you're right.
Well, we pay these people, and I hope to make a number of points tonight. And I love to have Jeff on, and I love to have Jersey Joe on, whether I agree with any of them or not, because I incredibly value their opinions and their thoughts. And that's why I love to have them on the show. Shoot, I got only about 8 more minutes before I got to make this point and wrap up to another hour. In any event, then there was this. Now, who is this in the photograph? That's Tulsi Gabbard. Who was she nominated for? For which position was she nominated in the Trump administration? Why, that would be DNI, Director of National Intelligence. That, by the way, folks, if you don't know the flow charts of the government, the DNI is in charge of the CIA et al., the 17 intelligence agencies. Shows she would be, theoretically, if in fact confirmed, the head as DNI over everyone else.
I don't know if you remember, but Obama's pick for DNI I had fired.
Ah, yes, I remember that. Okay. We got about 7 minutes. So yes. Okay. Jeff Dunetz, please tell us that tale.
Well, I mean, the guy thought like the Muslims discovered America. I mean, he was really stupid. And the way I really got it was Nancy Pelosi helped me. I told Pelosi truthfully that the guy thought that the China wasn't hard enough at Tiananmen Square, and Pelosi has a big Chinese audience in her in her district. So she told Obama, you got to get rid of him. So but I lobbied her. I lobbied Steve Israel. I lobbied a couple of people, and I wrote about it actually in the Washington Times. And he was gone. Actually, his son wrote something saying that whoever did this, I want to punch him in the nose. And I wrote him back and said, this is where I live.
Come at me, bro. Don't tase me, bro. I'm sorry. Don't tase me, bro. Please.
But basically I got the guy fired. Well, at least, removed from office.
That's a hell of an accomplishment. That's something that I certainly have not done. Let's listen to this. Since we're talking about intelligence, or perhaps the lack thereof, let's
Never
listen
said
to this.
anything.
Never. And even most recently, in kind of one of the latest acts of political retaliation under the Harris-Biden administration, the very next day after I criticized Kamala Harris in a live TV interview and warned the American people, as I did back in 2019 when she was running for president, I warned the American people about how dangerous she would be as commander-in-chief, about how she would try to mask her insecurity and her weakness and try to appear strong as a commander-in-chief and prove her strength by using our military to accomplish that and needlessly putting people's lives at risk. The very next day after I did that interview, they added me to this secret domestic terror watch list called Quiet Skies.
And the no-fly list for a time.
And I was going through in-depth screening day after day after day. Every time I flew, it would take me an hour to get through TSA. I get the quad S on my boarding pass, couldn't check in online. It was like the full thing. And I just thought like, okay, something's going on here because this is not a random selection. Every day.
No, stop just for a second. This was political. This was domestic intelligence. There's lawfare. I suppose there's intelligence fare now as well. That was levied and waged by the Biden regime via the Biden crime family against Tulsi Gabbard, who, by the way, is also a member of the U.S. military in good standing. Now, you would hope that a thinking human being would say something similar to, if Tulsi Gabbard is some kind of a Russian plant, then why is she somehow engaged in working with the U.S. military? She should have had her ass fired long ago if there was an investigation warranted, and if, as a result of that investigation, it was determined that she could no longer be a member of the U.S. military.
I'll one up you, BZ.
That never occurred. Go ahead, sir.
Doesn't fire.
If she is this masterful spy, why was she a Democrat congresswoman and they never said anything about it when she was a congresswoman? They didn't do shit then.
Hillary Clinton.
What was that?
And she pissed off Hillary Clinton.
Oh yeah, but I mean, she was a Democrat congresswoman, but she's supposed to be this big bad spy. You mean you're so failure in your jobs you couldn't tell that one of your party members was a spy? I mean, it wouldn't be surprising. You have Swallow-all screwing Chinese spies. Nothing gets done.
Fang. Good old Fang. Let me see if I have enough time to wrap this up before the top of the hour break. And then I want to make a point. Let's continue.
Different airlines, no. But these air marshals came forward because they did not want to be used as pawns in what they clearly saw was a political attack.
Whistleblowers coming forward with the truth.
It's, the military, again, we had members of Congress asking Department of Homeland Security, TSA, like, what are the grounds of you putting Tulsi Gabbard on a domestic terror watch list, having K-9 teams like looking around her every time she travels, 3 to 4 air marshals traveling with her and surveilling her every time she gets to an airport and leaves an airport and on the flights. Like, what are the grounds and basis for this? Because you're using taxpayer dollars.
You're using taxpayer dollars for this. But of course, everyone knows, Jeff Dunetz, that, Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian plant, isn't she?
But she's not sleeping with Fang.
No, she is not. Let me end up with this, before we go to our second break, I have a question to everybody. If you're a thinking American. Now, Jeff, I believe, made mention of the fact that there was a spy in Dianne Feinstein's office.
Yeah.
Who initially was her driver, then became more than her driver, then became her associate, then became her assistant.
Was that kind of driver? I thought he turned into be a 2-iron.
I'm wondering if he wasn't more than just a driver, just an associate. And if you remember, Dianne Feinstein for years was chair of the Security and Intelligence Committee.
Yep.
Now, I wonder how many secret papers that spy was able to photograph and ship to China. But as I make this final salient point, I hope, she was given a heads up by the FBI. She was told, by the way, we suspect that there is a spy of some sort in your office, and we're giving you a heads up to notify you that we're going to take some kind of an action. Now, in 2016, if the FBI at that time had decided that they were going to tell President Trump and give him the option, the Dianne Feinstein option, that is to say, we think that you may have been compromised by the Russians. And as a result, we may do some investigations into that. Was that proffered? Was that given? Was that option even on the table? And the answer is absolutely no. Hell no. Not at all.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Edge of Liberty. Join me right here on the SHR Media Network every Monday and Friday, 12 on the Pacific, 3 on the East Coast. On this show, we'll discuss news, politics, the government, how cranky we are about the government, and more. If you want to hear hard talk, good interviews, sarcasm, bad jokes, and oh God, that really is me in a nutshell. Either way, check me out right here on the Edge of Liberty every Monday and Friday, 12 Pacific, 3 on the East, on the SHR Media Network.
Freedom. One nation in all of human history was built on that bedrock. Ours. A republic of the people, by the people, and for the people. Self-government requires freedom, just as freedom requires an individual willingness to self-govern. Freedom has made America exceptional, but it can only last as long as you and I seek the good, as expressed by the laws of nature and nature's God. It can only last if you and I choose to act as people of character. Forging character has been the pursuit of Hillsdale College since 1844.
Are you looking for a way to boldly express your faith and love for your country? Then check out Seven Armors, the premier apparel company for patriotic men of God, where faith meets freedom in style. Our t-shirts are more than just clothing, they're statements. Bold, stylish, and meaningful. From timeless messages to modern designs, we've got something for every patriotic man of God. Wear your beliefs proudly with Seven Armors gear. Don't miss the chance to wear your faith and freedom on your sleeve. Visit 7armors.com today and join the movement. That's the number 7armors.com. 7armors.com. Faithful, vigilant, steadfast, passion.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I was busy. I was a busy little cat during the break, trying to bring you more cool stuff. But in the meantime, I want to tell everybody that I am, in fact, your conservative Sherpa. Tonight, we have Jeff Dunetz of Lidblog, and also Jersey Joe, the SHR's very own Reaver of Common Sense. You're listening to the Saloon. Today is Thursday. It is December the 5th, the year of our Lord, 2024. I asked at the beginning of the show A good friend of SHR by the name of Lonnie Poindexter had open heart surgery, a triple bypass yesterday, and a stent placed. And if you would find it within yourself to proffer some prayers for him, I would greatly appreciate it. So tonight, my good friends, here are Jeff Dunetz and Jersey Joe. They are in the saloon. We just got through talking about Tulsi Gabbard, and I played something about that.
I need to add something to your Dianne Feinstein thing.
Please.
She was also the person to release the report about waterboarding, if you remember.
I do not. Refresh my memory. Was this back during Abu Ghraib?
Yeah, it was great. It was during that. And she basically released a report about, any bad treatment we did of the terrorists, which really, I mean, yes, I agree with it that it was bad, but by releasing it, it made things worse for our people because they were going after our soldiers even more.
I wouldn't disagree with that at all. That's a story that we could discuss for another day. I have some definite feelings about that, but I told you that we were kind of making the comparison today between, say, Tulsi Gabbard and, say, Pete Hegseth and, say, Matt Gaetz, and essentially, so whom are we going to fight for? Whom will we cast aside? And why is it perhaps that we need and or want Pete Hegseth in there? Now, not unlike the individual. Before I get to this story, let me again go to this. When an individual goes to war, such as this guy who we spoke to, Jersey Joe and I, Joe Sowell, and he wrote a book. It's not very thick. It's about 184 pages or so. But we spoke for almost a good 2 hours about this on Jersey Joe's show. And this essentially illustrated and delineated what people encounter when they go to war. Now, was he directly involved in combat in terms of he killed enemy combatants? No, he wasn't in that kind of a position. But someone who goes to war is not the same person when they come back. I should care to point out that not only did Pete Hegseth go to war, he went to Iraq, came back, and volunteered for Afghanistan as well. Now, you are not the same person after 41 years, say, of law enforcement. And you are not the same person who went to war when you come back. Now, Millie or Austin, I don't know what kind of combat they may have seen, but I do know that they are administrators. And I do know that this guy, Pete Hegseth, is not an administrator. So I have to ask myself, what were the benefits of having Millie and Austin under the Biden administration create all sorts of chaos and havoc for members of the military to the point where they were finding it extremely difficult to recruit? Now, I can't possibly imagine why that was. Why people didn't want to, American citizens didn't want to drop everything and join the U.S. military. Choose a service. Go in. You will be a valued member. Was the VA fixed? No. Was our military fixed? No. Did, in my opinion, they happen to shoot it in the foot? Yes. Did they get 13 members, valuable soldiers, killed in leaving Iraq? In my opinion, yes. Did they give a shit about that? Did they seem to care? No.
Don't you mean leaving Afghanistan?
Excuse me, Afghanistan. Thank you for correcting me. Yes, Jeff. We had a military base in Afghanistan, Bagram, which we gave up first. And then we decided to retreat from the civilian base, which did not have the security and the protections that we had spent millions upon millions of dollars erecting around Bagram. Now, who did we evacuate first? A 5-year-old could tell you not to do this. We evacuated the U.S. soldiers first, and we left a dribbling few behind to protect the civilians who were left behind. Second, the soldiers were first, the civilians were second. How does that happen? I repeat, any 5-year-old can tell you that's not what you do. That's not how you treat your soldiers, and that's not how you treat your civilians. That was a decision from Lloyd Austin, or if it was a Biden decision directly from Biden and Mark Milley, if that was a Biden decision, if you have a soul at all and are a compassionate and a leader, you tell that individual, I am stepping down. You must replace someone because this is how we're going to get soldiers killed, and they were. Lloyd Austin should not have been in his position. Secretary of Defense, AYFKM. Are you fucking kidding me? Then you have General Mark Milley, a traitor, who said that he would notify China if the situation with Trump were such that he believed Trump was going to attack in any form China. Who does that besides a traitor? And so apparently we want someone not entirely dissimilar from either Milley or Austin, another admin hack. And I can't say that again, sufficiently forceful, a hack who got people killed. Not people, soldiers whose lives they were there to protect and did everything ass backwards in terms of the withdrawal. Now let's go to Pete Hegseth. Now I have some experience with this. I was a detective in sexual assaults. We discovered all sorts of startling statistics in sexual assaults with regard to rape claims, depending upon the year that it was. And I was told this and reinforced by a female detective who was working in sex assaults at a certain period of time. Anywhere between 40 to 50% at that time in the 90s, I cannot tell you about the stats now, of claimed rapes were false. And it was either a recant or it was, I'm going to hold my mud because of marital situations or because I got involved with a boyfriend, someone found out, or I got involved with another man and someone found out and I was married, for example. So I know I am familiar with this stuff. So this police report was released from 2017 about Pete Hegseth. Let me go down here. The accuser said she didn't remember how she got in Hegseth's hotel room, but remembered details such as Hegseth allegedly blocking the door with his body and her allegedly saying no a lot and not much else. There was no evidence of rape according to the police report. Earlier in the day, the alleged rape, she texted her husband numerous times about Hegseth, including that the women at the conference were freaking drooling over him and that he talks pretty, though. As the night progressed, she stopped responding to her worried husband's text messages. Let's just state the obvious, because I have seen this a staggering amount of times. Regret. Now, this woman was wherever with her husband and children down the hallway. Hegseth, who was not married, but was very drunk, as she stated, she was not drunk. Hegseth was drunk and decided afterwards that, well, this isn't a good look and perhaps it's time to recant or make a claim. Let me again, please, if you allow me, to state the obvious. There was a report taken, a police report. From that police report, no warrant of arrest or search was acquired. No arrest was made. No jail took him. There was no court case scheduled. The DA did not file. He was not found guilty. He was not sent to jail or prison. He was not sentenced.
And
now, in the United States of America, you are innocent.
To have the report released.
The report was released, one moment, please, this week, which is the week of November 23rd.
That also the police had talked about that they were going to they were thinking at that time of possibly charging her for false report.
Well, having also worked in that kind of a venue before, I can tell you for a fact that there are very few, if any, sex assault bureaus anywhere around the United States who are going to seek charges, because that is way, way impolitically correct. And the reason for that they would say is that it would have what is called a term, a phrase, a chilling effect upon individuals wishing to make rape claims or report rapes. So people are DA's offices, police and sheriff's departments.
I think that's why they never did it, but they were talking at one point because her story was so bullshit and full of holes that they were talking about it.
And we saw
they did because then it'll stop women from coming forward. I'm sorry, I've been accused twice, falsely accused. And
well, as with Kavanaugh and Blasey Ford, the timing is weird, isn't it? To use a Democrat word, the timing is weird.
But there's another part of it that kind of disturbs me. Okay, the alcohol part of it, where there are people over at Fox saying that he had alcohol on his breath. I don't know if it's true or not.
Eight of his coworkers have come out with their names. I don't have them on me. They came out publicly with their names, not behind anonymously, and they said he is not a drunk. He is not on set drinking. What they got it from, he did one show where everybody on the show was drinking. I don't know if it was a Fox show or something else. I was watching it earlier. It was one show he did where everybody was like sampling bourbon.
Okay.
Oh, he's drinking on the job, the woman was going on about. No, the show was about something that dealt with that drink. So they're blown out of proportion, trying to make him seem like a drunk. And all of his co-hosts have come out and said, it's an outright lie. There's nobody saying that. And the they know of are ex-employees.
So I shouldn't have smoked pot before the show.
Well, we personally don't care. On the other hand, you're not in charge of the Department of Defense.
No, that's true.
Which is a great thing, nor should I be in charge of the Department of Defense.
And if we want to talk about alcohol, let's look at Nancy Pelosi. Let's look at Kamala Harris. Look at John Boehner. How many of those congressmen are absolute alcoholics? And from what I read, everything those press corps members are hardcore alcoholics too. So they're throwing stones in a glass house.
Well, I can tell you, and I'll be honest, I've said this on the show before. I'm not speaking out of turn. At one point during my career, such as it was, I was a raving alcoholic as well. Now, I never sought any kind of remuneration for it. I never went to, I did go to a therapist at one time and concluded after about 5 to 10 minutes with this therapist that he was full of shit.
Yep.
And he was, all he could tell me about was loss. You've suffered great loss. Okay. Who hasn't? I can tell you that at night, and I can never tell, my brain plays a movie, and my brain plays the last movie that I would ever want to see or watch, and I never get to choose, and it tells me and ambushes me late at night. And what I do is I end up sitting in a balcony seat in the theater of my demise. And, whatever night that comes, it comes. Now, for a while, I was having a hell of a time trying to handle it. Am I better? Yes, I am much better now. There are other things that occurred during that amount of time that I will never tell anyone in public, as I suspect you won't either, Jersey Joe. But this is what happens when you have, for example, 41 years of that kind of shit.
Yep.
And then he goes over to Iraq and Afghanistan and sees a ton of that, as did this guy who didn't see a fraction of the crap.
I talked about it Monday night.
That Pete did. Go ahead, sir.
I talked about it Monday night with my drinking, and it was heavy at times. That's how I dealt with the stress of the job. A bad shift, call my partner up, let's go get a fucking drink on. For me, how I stopped, I still drink here. I'll have a beer like once a year or so. It is if a social thing, I might have a drink. But I got so hammered on my birthday. I woke up the next day hungover, but like a motherfucker. My head was pounding. And all I could think of is my daughter walking out of her room going, Daddy, why won't you play with me? Oh, because I'm hungover because I got drunk. And I went, I'm done. Done with it. And I just stopped. I didn't drink for a couple of years. I can go have a drink or two and just, I'm good with it now. But you know what? Man, I was drinking. It was not unlike for me and my partner to blow $400 or $500 in one night at the bar. Just me and him.
I never had that much money for one.
Well, we would kind of combine our money together, and it just, we would drink. Usually, most times we went home sober. That's the scary part.
You know what? I mean, I was in a high pressure job, not like that, but I never drank.
Everyone has their vice. We don't know the vices besides traitorous of Millie. Everyone has a vice. Let everyone go forth and be wonderful who doesn't have sin, and there is no one. But I can tell you the motivations behind this are base, and they are simple. It's not complicated. Pete Hegseth inspires not hatred. He doesn't inspire, oh, he'll be terrible. Oh, he's such a corrupt individual. No, he's not. He's an average human being who found himself in a series of terrible situations and had to somehow ameliorate that all in his brain up here. And apparently, by all accounts, has done a wonderful job of just that. So kudos to him.
Who is going to hurt most if he gets appointed?
That's my point. My point is these accusations are not motivated in anything but fear.
To take him down because he's going to take him down. They're going to lose billions of dollars.
He's going to
billions of dollars.
He's going to kick ass.
JFK.
Well, RFK.
Yeah.
All the things that Trump has, all the various people, for whatever reason, and I'm with you, Jersey Joe, in terms of, okay, Matt Gaetz made the decision actively on his own to step down. Okay, if that was his decision, more power to him. I get it. I grok that concept. Fine. His decision, move on. Pete has said he's not moving on.
And Trump told him not to.
RFK has said, I'm not moving on. These are spoilers. These are disruptors. These are people who are attempting to blow out the entrenched deep state. And folks, when we talk about the deep state, there's nothing amazing or shocking about the deep state. It's not some cadre of conspiracy-minded individuals. No, these are all GS-13s and above, all various assholes who have been entrenched in their jobs for so long that they're either in a position where they get to make their own regulations absent Congress, or they've been entrenched for so long that they know where all the bodies are buried and all the skeletons, and they have something on someone And the Trump administration, as they did in 2016, is now scaring the living. It's PSH. It's pants shitting hysteria in D.C. because they're going to take my meal ticket potentially away from me.
Here's
That's
the thing.
deep state.
Here's
No more
the thing that I
complicated
hate
than
about the
that.
Republican Party. The one thing I truly hate about the Republican Party, we fight for them, get them in office, and as soon as an ounce of resistance comes against them, they fold like a cheap suit. They just give up. Oh, we can't upset the Democrats. We don't want them thinking bad about us. They said that if this person gets in, we're going to have a bad image. If any of this happened to a Democrat nominee, do you think they would give a shit?
No, of course not.
Yes.
If there's one thing, Jeff, go ahead.
Well, I got to tell you something. My disagreement with one of our nominees has nothing to do with, oh my God, I'm afraid that people won't like us. Just because I won't like myself. I mean, that's how I make my decisions. That's how I have no problem with, Tulsi Gabbard. Just my only problem is I can't pronounce her name. RFK, I have no problem with. I am so happy that we now have Pam Bondi, and I think Trump should have picked her first. But you're right. We shouldn't. He should have fought.
Like I said, I think Matt Gaetz was more of a test, just to see which Republicans were going to stand up and fight for Trump, and which ones were going to, the typical rhino bullshit. And I think
a lot of people thought that too.
And I could be wrong, and then I've been wrong before.
A lot of people agree with you, Joe. I mean, that's what I've heard from a lot of people.
And I do not like Matt Gaetz. The son of a bitch lied to me when he was first running for Congress. He agreed to do my show. He was all hyped to do it. When we went to schedule it, it was, oh, who are you? I never agreed to anything. Show him the text. Oh, we never agreed to that. He's a lying piece of shit to me. So I don't like Matt Gaetz. But as a congressman, has he done his job? Yeah. So I'm not going to argue that. So and I don't agree with everything Trump has done. And I don't think we should, but to blow up some of these nominations, especially when these Republicans that voted for Merrick Garland,
sure,
and some other the Democrat nominations, they just voted for and let through, and now they're gonna, well, he might be having a drinking problem. What?
I can't understand why, Biden, he made his speech after he did that pardon about how, it was really it was the system of
political bias,
but it was political bias within the court system and between our oh boy, I can't think. Our judicial system, and he should have fired the guy years ago. If he really felt that his son was being screwed, because of the DA and the Justice Department, then he should have fired everybody.
Yeah, they're trying to, as they normally do, copy what Republicans do. They haven't had an original thought in their head. So, I sent a link to you, BZ, on X.
I saw that.
Obama just did a big speech at one of his forums where he talked about how the Republican Party is rigging the elections and they have politicized the Department of Justice to go after Democrats.
Well, they said that Trump's first election was rigged.
Yeah, it did.
But sure, if you're talking about election deniers, Hillary Clinton was the biggest election denier. If I'm not mistaken, she was the one that also created the birth certificate snafu about Obama because Obama was competing with her at the time. Everything essentially can be tracked back to these people. I want to make a couple of final points about Hegseth. Then we're going to have to take a break. Then I'll come back and we'll play that, by the way, Jersey Joe, that you mentioned about Obama's speech. Megyn Kelly, a former attorney and Fox News anchor, said on her podcast about the accuser's allegations regarding Pete Hegseth after reading the police report. She said, "This smells like utter bullshit, and that's what I have smelled numerous times, and I smell this as well. I smelled it with Kavanaugh, and I also smelled it with Justice Thomas." That Biden, by the way, was originally involved in with the scandal, with the he had pictures of black guys with huge black penises. Yeah, bullshit alert. Hegseth's lawyer, Tim Parlator, last week said that she took advantage of him. She led him. She was, by all accounts, both video and eyewitnesses. She was sober. He was drunk. She grabbed him. She took him to his room. She's like walking arm in arm with him and really putting it on, and she gets him into his room. And then the police, honestly, when they looked at it, even though she was the one that reported it, when they looked at the video, they considered charging her. He told Breitbart News in a phone interview on November 16th. Folks,
that's what I read.
That's exactly it. This is what I want to say before the break. Women are not inherently better than men. Women aren't inherently cleaner than men. Women aren't inherently anything better than men, except women are women. So any allegation made by a man or a woman in terms of a criminal investigation needs to be investigated to its fullest. But just like men, women are equally full of shit.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Welcome to River of Common Sense, where we cut through the noise of news and politics with a sharp wit and clear discussion. Tune in every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a refreshing dose of reality as we fearlessly tackle the tough topics with no nonsense, just pure common sense. Visit shrmedia.com to discover where you can catch River of Common Sense in action. He's here to amplify your inner logic. He may not always be polite, he may not always be refined, but one thing's for sure, he always tells it like it is.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being, and in the good that comes from exercising these rights well. The founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire.
Attention, all patriotic women of faith. Yep, I'm talking to you, sis. Are you looking for high-quality, super soft apparel that reflects your love for country and your devotion to God? Look no further than Carry Girl Gear. Picture this. You rocking a tee so soft it's like being hugged by a cloud, all while showing off your love for God and country. Sounds dreamy, right? Well, welcome to reality, babes, because that's what we're all about here at Carry Girl Gear. We specialize in super soft tees, tanks, and more, designed specifically for the strong, patriotic women who proudly wants to carry their message of faith and freedom. When you shop with us, you're not just getting a t-shirt. You're joining a community of like-minded women who are proud to wear their beliefs straight on their tees. So whether you're sipping sweet tea on the porch or leading the charge for faith and freedom, do it in a Carry Girl tee. Because life's too short for stiff, boring tees. CarryGirl.com, where faith and freedom meets fashion.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is I, BZ, and I am back. Rebop Kwakuba. And I want to tell you, thank you for being here tonight. As you can see, it's Christmas time. And Jeff Dunetz was kind enough to suggest, yeah, okay, it might be that time of year where you can begin to wear your little Santa hat because I can't go out during the holidays and not have some little stupid kid say, Santa. I can't imagine where they get that and why they'd want to say that and why they'd want to accuse me. That makes no sense whatsoever. Tonight, it is December the 5th, the year of our Lord 2024. It is Thursday night. And on this special and hallowed night, we have Jeff Dunetz right here. That is Jeff. And we also have Jersey Joe. That is he right there. And I am BZ. I am he and you are he. And we are all together. Goo goo gajoob. So thanks for being here. Jeff got that one. I can tell you that right now. Jeff got that one. He knew where that came from. Did you not, sir?
Can I remind people of something?
Please.
We're the 5th. 2 days from now is the 7th, December 7th.
Yes, it is.
And we should all remember what happened on December 7th. Okay. That's when the Japanese attacked Pearl Bailey. And
that's right. She was decimated at the time, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. She was drunk.
Yeah. And she had to wear that stupid headdress full of it was like a basket of fruit and vegetables that she used to wear on the top of her head. It fell off. All those vegetables and fruits were spoiled. How sad is that? And the answer is very sad.
But we should remember that, and we should remember how our country pulled together to win that war.
I have, and of course, Jersey Joe knows this. He knows that I was around. I helped invent the wheel, by the way, as Jersey Joe well knows, and I've been accused of by Sackhead Sean. So I was there at this on December 7th. I was listening to.
Trying to say you're older than dirt?
Maybe something like that, perhaps. And now I forgot my train of thought. It has damn derailed. Okay, well, let's go back to Pete Hegseth.
Can I jump in on that real quick?
Oh, jump. With both, how many feet?
You want to piss my wife off real quick. Yeah, both feet.
Okay.
You want to piss my wife off in a 5-second term?
Yes, sir.
Tell her a man is getting accused of sexual assault from 30 years ago, 20 years ago. That pisses her off. She hates that as a woman. She hates that a woman doesn't have the strength to stand up and accuse right away. She's like, I think all of them are fake. Or the ones that take money and then sign an NDA and now they want to come out and speak, that pisses her off. She's like, if you get sexual assault, you got to go out and do it now. You don't wait to 30 years later. So number one, how do you disprove that? And how do you disprove a negative 30 years later?
Number one, extremely difficult to. Number two, statute of limitations. Number three, anybody can make any kind of an allegation. Anyone can use anonymous sources. WAPO, New York Times. They all love anonymous sources. And again, that's a story for another time.
Yeah.
I want to go into this.
Sorry about that little rant, but that was.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Hey, listen, that's what I do on this show. All right. Is I have my own little rantalus.
Plus, it was your wife, so you have to do that.
Well, of course. And the other thing is, let me pull this off just for a second. The other thing that I should care to emphasize is if women, men make allegations, criminal allegations, then we owe it to the individuals to ensure that we conduct a full and firm investigation. You don't just discount them for whatever reason. If you go where the evidence takes you, you're a moron, a blithering, biased idiot to men, women, whomever, if you don't take the evidence and go where the evidence leads. If it doesn't lead to a criminal application or arrest or say a search warrant, then so be it. So goes it. Sorry, that's Kurt Vonnegut right there. In any event,
isn't it so it goes?
So it goes. That was it. Wait a minute. Jeff Dunetz. That's true. So it goes. Schlachthaus 5. In any event, you have to go where the investigation leads you. You listen, you take the report, and then you wait and see how things end up. But with regard to Pete Hegseth, this was a very interesting comment from him.
On the issue of alcohol. No, we've had great conversations about who I am and what I believe, and frankly, the man I am today, because of my faith in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And my incredible wife, Jenny, right here. I'm a different man than I was years ago. And that's a redemption story that I think a lot of Americans appreciate. And I know from fellow vets that I've spent time with, they resonate with that as well. You fight, you go do tough things in tough places on behalf of your country. And sometimes that changes you a little bit. And by the grace of God and my Lord and Savior, I had an opportunity to come on up out of it and do great things with great veterans organizations that fought for vets, that fought for reform at the VA and for war fighters, and at the Fox News channel to advocate for those very same causes.
Stop, let me pause. People do this, including myself, after having gone through any number of serious critical events, and they sometimes realize, as did Trump back in June, they realize their mortality. Now, to have survived a huge critical incident or a series of them, such as war or 41 years of law enforcement, that all collects and stacks up. But many people find the solution in God or alcohol or drugs or the final end of suicide. 22 veterans die every day due to suicide after having experienced their wars. Now, the gentleman that we spoke to earlier this week on Monday, myself and Joanne Trobus, this guy met it initially with cigarettes and alcohol, and then he found Buddhism. And he's still having trouble. And I'm still having trouble. And Joe, I can't speak for Joe. Pete Hegseth, I bet he still has trouble himself.
Almost every night when I go to sleep, I told you about the kid that crashed his car and it snapped his head off. Almost every night I see that.
Yeah,
it still sits there. I've learned to live with it, but it's there.
People will ask me, tell me a cop story. And my general reply is, you don't want me to, because if I told you a real cop story, then you would vomit.
No, I told about the story of the woman who called for an ambulance on an unknown medical. We got there. She was standing outside, 30-some-year-old female, young girl, got an ambulance. What's wrong? None of your business. Short term, finally took her to the hospital. She went in. Doctor came out laughing on his hands and knees. She found her clit, thought it was a tick, and wanted it removed, and admitted to playing with herself daily.
Oh, I can't imagine how that happened.
Those are the stories that I tell. That or the old lady that heard a smoke alarm going off in her house, the low battery, and thought it was her heart telling her she was going to die.
Oh, that's bad. I hope she replaced her heart battery then.
Well, we went in and we were like,
I know somebody who said goodbye or good night to one of her workers and came back the next morning and he was still at his desk dead. And I said to her, you work your people too hard, but that's me. But, stuff like that is scary because, it's not like what you guys went through, but, I was in a high pressure industry.
Did we also not, at least maybe 2 months, 3 months ago or so, maybe 4, right around there, it was this year sometime, make the discovery of the story of the individual who died at her desk and no one found her until a week later?
Oh, God.
And I think if you get on your favorite search engine and go for that, you can probably still find it. In any event, you don't want to listen to my cop stories. And by the way, you don't want to be in my head. Pete, continue.
I'm proud
also, this is his third accusation they've thrown at him, if you remember.
Yeah.
He's a white supremacist because of his tattoos, which were...
Oh, yeah. Please. Which was easily debunked because you can find that historically...
a sexual assault that never happened.
Why is he a white supremacist? Because,
he has some...
I've seen other people with the same tattoo and then
Templar Knights, or actually it's a Jerusalem cross, I think it's called.
Yes.
He has that tattooed and he has it in Latin, a term, God's will or something like that. Well, it looks kind of a German the way it's written out. So people immediately thought he was a Nazi.
Well, as somebody who is very sensitive to Nazis, I didn't think so.
I will answer all of these senators' questions, but this will not be a process tried in the media. I don't answer to anyone in this group.
Bingo. Thank you.
Love
it. Let's continue.
None of you, not to that camera at all. I answer to President Trump who received 76 million votes on behalf and a mandate for change. I answer to the 100 senators who are part of this process and those in the committee. And I answer to my Lord and Savior and my wife and my family. I'm proud to be here. And as long as Donald Trump wants me in this fight, I'm going to be standing right here in this fight, fighting to bring our Pentagon back to what it needs to be.
What have your conversations on Fox?
That's how you answer the American media maggots, like that, in that fashion. We held at one time, if you guys recall, the triumvirate. We held the Oval Office under Bush, the House and the Senate, and we did absolutely nothing, and we got nothing done. In 2016, Trump came in and said, essentially, this is his platform. In my 74 years, my 8th decade on this planet, I can tell you that I have never beforehand seen any president make as many accomplishments in terms of his platform as did Trump. He is a disruptor. He, I hope, has made he's learned some lessons.
He had a board with all his promises. At least his people had it. And every time he did one, they checked it off. I mean, they had to finish all his promises. And, he kept that in his mind all the time, which is great.
Well, exactly.
He's the only president I've ever seen actually make promises and keep them.
Well, and the number of them he managed to do. Now, let me stop right here. I'm going to go to...
He also had said that he learned from his first time with not who he puts around him. He took a lot of advice from people. He said he should have never taken advice of who to put in there. And he put some people in that were not out for his best interest. And he learned that. And he said he won't be doing that again. He's going to put who he wants around him.
Well, yeah, and that's incredibly important. And like I say, I was just talking in, by the way, folks, thanks for being in chat. Thanks for being in the SHR Media YouTube channel chat. Thanks for being over here in the Rumble chat. I greatly appreciate it. And I was speaking to Jack Alexander in the chat. And I said, the only person who's sufficiently good, who would be a wonderful candidate for anything and everything, is me, who I would be the only one that I trust. I know, and I recognize that Trump has and will continue to make mistakes. Is he going to be perfect? No, he isn't. I'm going to have some serious disagreements with him. He's not the guy. It would be fun to have him for dinner, but I don't agree with everything that he says, and I don't love the guy. It's like I told people in my department years ago, recruits, never love this department. The department will not fall in love with you. That just will not happen. Don't fall in love with a politician. They will not love you back. Don't fall in love with a car at a car lot. It will certainly not love you back in any way, shape, or form. I don't love Trump. I like the things that he has been doing, not all of them. And I like the fact that, especially this time, as essentially a lame duck president, he's got nothing to lose. He will never be back again. So, I'm tired. I'm beyond tired of bipartisanship and compromise. I'm beyond tired of of Republicans and conservatives being fearful. Screw fear. Let the other assholes fear. And that's what's motivating the people that don't want to see Pete Hegseth, RFK, Tulsi Gabbard, and any number of others, including Pam Bondi, in positions of power, because they know it's not, as I say, it's not about retribution, although I think that's wonderful. And I love revenge. I love the idea of that. For example, I like my caffeine not hot, but I like my caffeine cold, like Rockstar or Monster. That's just how I like my revenge as well. Very cold, the coldest. But I expect not just retribution, but I want justice. I want justice. I don't want a two-tiered system of justice. I want justice. I want what is good for one is good for the other. And if it's not that way, then I don't want to have anything to do with it. Here's Obama. Let me play this. This is what Jersey Joe, you sent me. And let me see. This is from Insurrection Barbie. Breaking: Barack Obama comes out and accuses Republicans of rigging elections and weaponizing the This is such an old trope. It's the oldest of tropes, and Democrats and leftists keep falling into this pit, thank God. They accuse us of what they themselves are doing, only more and worse. So Barack is saying the Republicans are rigging elections and weaponizing the Justice Department as we lose House seats in California. By the way, it only took California, we spell it with a K, 29 days to figure out who actually won a seat, are you fucking kidding me? And no, I'm not. So we lost that House seat. Races are still being counted. And as J6 nonviolent protesters are still being arrested. I'm going to run out of stuff for the rest of this. I'm going to do another show probably tomorrow night, Friday night, or Saturday night, because I haven't even gotten to a third of the stuff that I wanted to talk about tonight.
I kept a record of what Hillary claimed was screwing up her election, that, she wasn't fairly counted. And actually, it was up to 31 when I stopped. Okay.
31 reasons?
Yeah, 31 reasons why it was unfair, it wasn't counted right, etc.
Gee, like Baskin Robbins, 31 flavors. Imagine that.
Well, Baskin Robbins is much better than Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton, I should care to point out, before we hit this Obama thing, Hillary Clinton is just as likable as an Eastern diamondback rattlesnake. And Cammy the Cackler was every bit as likable as a Western diamondback rattlesnake. Sir.
You said because you didn't get through everything, I'm going to give you the same offer I did Sean last week. Sean did get everything through his show. Tomorrow night, come on my show. You can finish going over everything.
Oh, holy shit, Joe. You're going to be sorry you did that.
Yeah, you know what? I had fun Monday. Like I said, just wind you up and let you go, and my show goes nice and easy.
Oh my God! So let's listen to Obama.
Doug Emhoff, okay?
What's that? Say that again, Jeff.
I hated Doug Emhoff because he was the she had a Jewish husband. Well, but he didn't care. He didn't follow any Jewish stuff.
I was about to say, I don't think he was a practicing Jew. Didn't look to me.
But forget that. He wasn't a Zionist. He didn't care about Jewish holidays, the big ones.
That's what I mean by like a practicing Jew. He didn't seem like he did any of that.
That's
what I hear from my in-laws who are Jewish, that would be called a practicing Jew.
I have another label for it. Jeff, I'm sure you've heard this before. Would that guy be a gyno?
Well, actually, I call him a secular Jew. But, yeah, some people call him a gyno.
Okay.
But I mean, granted, I'm more of an observant Jew, but I can't stand the guy because he was the example. That's the only reason. He was, I'm not the God police.
No, I am far from that. Oh, my. So far.
They shouldn't use him he shouldn't let people use him as the example. Joe, did I make you do something? Because your face is all red.
That one over there with the gyno, and it sounded really dirty to me.
Okay. I see when you started laughing, I thought I had an idea as to what spurred that, and I was right. Obama, if you would, sir.
The little boy in me came out.
Oh yeah.
Was Emhoff a veteran? Because then he'd be a vagino.
I don't know. I honestly, to be serious, just for 2.35 seconds, I don't know. Obama, take it away.
Potentially, when one side tries to stack the deck and lock in a permanent grip on power, either by actively suppressing votes or politicizing the armed forces or using the judiciary, the criminal justice system to go after opponents. And in those circumstances, pluralism does not call for us to just stand back and say, well, I'm not sure. That's okay. In those circumstances, a line has been crossed. And potentially.
And who crosses lines? Who has always crossed lines?
Democrats.
Who has always pushed the lines?
He doesn't sound like he used to. Did he lose like one of his major writers or something? Because he does not have that.
That's certain je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, he doesn't have that balls. I'm confident in myself when I'm saying. Maybe Michelle deballed him. I don't know.
Hard to say. Well, the other thing is he's out of power. The other thing is that he was taken to the woodshed by American blacks, and especially American black males who said that, who the hell do you think you are, assuming that all male blacks are monolithic in voting and that you're trying to shame us into voting for someone that we don't believe in? And American blacks, particularly males, because that's who he was specifically targeting in his words, were not on board with that crap. And so I think he has lost a certain amount of je ne sais quoi just from that.
You know, didn't Biden do it when he was running last time?
Oh, Biden has stepped in it so many times. I can't begin to regale the tales. Where do we begin? That is a target-rich environment. So, gentlemen, we're going to have to wrap it up. It's about 5 till, and I would suggest this. Well, Jersey Joe, if the invite is still open, I will take you up on it. Today is Thursday.
9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
I'll come and step on your show. Not step on it, but step into your show if the invite is still there, because I'm looking over here. I have this beautiful 49-inch Samsung monitor.
Just keep rubbing that in.
I have no, but it's good, but it's bad in terms of I have one screen here and one screen in front of me, which is StreamYard, and then I have a stream over here that I play my audio from. And the reason I can't take it and make the videos big and huge is because they take up this entire screen, and then I lose the ability to see where I am in the video. That being said, I'm looking at all the stuff over here. I haven't touched hardly nothing over here. Hardly nothing. I got videos. I got articles. I got whining and whinging. I got leftists being stupid. I haven't even done the Chicago death toll update, and I feel really bad about that after telling everybody that I was going to do the Chicago.
To be continued till tomorrow.
And happy stories. OMG, do I have happy stories. So, folks, Jeff Dunetz, tell people where you can be read and found, because I found you. Kunta Kinte, I have found you back in 2004 when we both had blogs. So tell folks where you can be found. It was 2004. Yep.
Lidblog.com.
And for those who require the emphasis on that, emphasingly, there he is, Jeff Dunetz of lidblog.com.
And I promise I'll be more awake than I was tonight.
Well, that's okay. Because, see, the other thing is, it's almost 10 o'clock Pacific, and it's almost midnight Central, which means it's almost 1 a.m. where you are, Jeff, and where Jersey Joe is. So, Jersey Joe, tell us where you can be found, any websites and shows or anything like that that you want to mention while you're here. Go.
Every Monday and Friday night right here on SHR Media's social media. You can catch me with the Reaver of Common Sense, hosted by me, Jersey Joe, trying to make sense out of the senseless. On X, you can catch me. Just look for Jersey Joe. It's at Jersey Joe Talks. That's about it. I mean, it's all the SHR Media. I'm there. except for X. We don't have an SHR Media X account anymore. It's there, but
it's there, but we have the X account, which was that was for Sackheads Against Tyranny, and then
there's SHR News.
Sean came back and then took that Twitter at 2 Against Tyranny, and then that's where he plays his show and weighs in on stuff. You know, it might be interesting to see if we can create a brand new X just for SHR. That's
why everything's all in one spot instead of here, there.
Yeah, it might be really cool. And, you know, you can stream to X tons of times a day. That's a great idea.
Just remember one thing.
Yes, sir.
If you're talking to Jersey Joe,
yes, sir,
don't make a Doug Emhoff joke because he'll turn red and start laughing. Just saying.
China.
Okay.
I'm going to tell my wife that one.
He said China.
Yeah.
And then there was this. Producer.
Oh, it's Gino, not China.
Gino.
So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, might help if I turned up the music so you could actually hear it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here on the SHR Media Network. If you want to contact me, you can find me on Twitter and all sorts of different places. Promotional consideration, as per normal, is also by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, Shure and Electro Voice microphones, Arrakis boards, and Pratt & Whitney engines, creating thrust you can trust. And also tiaras like this one. You can't buy it, it's mine. Tiaras are by My Little Pony. And thanks to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team, with whom I shall be consorting in less than about 10 minutes, because they are only about, let's see, out that door right there and about 30 feet that way, and then over to the refrigerator and up into the freezer. Yay. And thanks to Jeff Dunetz for being here tonight. Thanks to Jersey Joe for being here tonight. Thanks to you for watching live. Thanks for you for watching the podcast. God bless. Take care. And everybody, be safe.
Quiet down now and get some sleep. Good night, everybody. Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben. Good night, everyone. Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy. Good night, children. Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Good night,
Jim
Jim
Bob.
Bob.
Good night and good luck.